Organization, let's talk about it. So I've been a music producer for several years now at this point, and it seems like every month I'm downloading a new sample pack, I'm getting a new plugin, or my buddy's sending me over a pack of melodies. And because I never had a good foundation in organization, things got a little hectic, right? And so the biggest thing that we want to do here is learn how we can create a quicker workflow. There's nothing like having a session with friends, working with an artist, or just working by yourself and knowing there's a sound that you want to use and not being able to find it, or trying to search through all of your different libraries or that one plugin that you used to use, right? So today we're going to talk about 3 different tips, 3 different places inside of Ableton that we can make things a little bit easier on ourselves. So first things first, we're going to talk about our collection space. This collection space has 7 different categories that we can store things in, right? So this could be plugins, this could be samples. It's up to us and what works best for you, right? So for me, what I have so far is a favorites place, a splice packs section, effects, EQs, compression and limiters, synths and tools, and my UAD plugins. Now, again, this is set up for me and what works best for my brain and how it likes to work and handle things. Do the same for you. Whatever works best for you is how I want you to set this up. But for me, I want to have some of my plugins one click away, right? So for instance, I got the new channel EQ because I updated to 10.1. I want that to be one click away. I don't want to have to go to audio effects and sort through all the various audio effects that I have and, find my channel EQ hours later. Okay, I know it's alphabetical order, but still, I want to make it faster for myself. For example, when I want to put something into a collection, like another EQ in this case, let's go down to my EQ8. I'm going to right click on this, and I'm going to see this drop-down box of all the different colors and the categories that I have set up. I would hit EQs, and now if I navigate back to my EQ section, we see that EQ8 added. Okay, now when it comes to interacting with this collection space, if we take our mouse up to the collections word, we're going to see that little edit button pop out. Now for me, I maybe learned this a long time ago and forgot about it, but that was confusing for a bit. So hopefully that clears up some things for you guys. If we hit the edit button, instantly we see all these little boxes with check marks come down. So if I was to uncheck any of these and hit done, it's going to disappear and not allow me to have that full use of my collection space. If I go back to edit, I turn on that box and hit done, it's going to pop back up and it doesn't remove anything. So for me, I'm going through here and I'm saving plugins in certain places that I like. I'm saving instruments in my synths folder, right? I have a bunch of synths. I have a bunch of different ways that I could create a melody. I named this synths/tools because I have arcade in here, and that's kind of a weird, system of making music. But for me, these are my go-to. I love using these, and I want them to click away. I don't want to search for them and take that extra time up. Okay, so this is the collection space. Again, collection space, we're going to set this up to how we think, how we interact with our plugins, our instruments, and even our sound packs. But for me, the most efficient thing has been organizing in the places section. So if we go down to our places, we see all of these different folders, all of these different shortcuts to other places on our hard drive. Now this can be on our hard drive or on an external hard drive. For me, I am lucky enough to have this Samsung T5 1TB hard drive. It's a solid state hard drive. It allows me to store all my samples on there and, upload those to my computer very quickly. I don't see any latency when it comes to previewing stuff, and it's made my life so much easier. But all of my samples are there. What about the ones that I use a lot, right? Now, being an artist, being a producer, you're gonna develop a sound. Now, that's not to say that I want you to use the same hi-hat loop every time you produce, but sometimes we do come across that loop that we like. For instance, if I was going to that main place on my hard drive where I have everything, I would be going to sample packs and I would see that list, right? Now, there is one hi-hat loop that I always use, and I like throwing it in just as it is. I like chopping it up on a keyboard or on, the push too. And it's a loop from one of my favorite producers, Cardiac, right? So if I went down to my loops section and I hit drums, and then I hit hi-hat loops, and then I found Cardiac and I hit his name again, and then I finally found the Have Mercy hi-hat loop. Now, that's a couple steps, and maybe I'm not mentally on game at that moment and I can't figure out where it is, right? That takes time. That's not fun. So let's put that in a place that we can always go back to very quickly, right? So for me, what I did was on that very same hard drive, I created a folder called Saya Packs. Now, what Saya Packs is this is kind of a skeleton. It's kind of a place where I can input things on the go, right? So for me, what I did was I made an 808 section. Under here, I have heavy hitters and not so heavy hitters, right? So maybe some Kenny beats like 808s will be in the heavy hitters, something that's gonna shake the room. And then we got the not so heavy hitters, something that might carry a track. Below this, I have drum hits with my various types of hits. I have drum loops that will have hi-hat loops and perk loops, also have effects and transitions, right? Now, for example, if I wanted to move something into here, what I can do is just drag it and drop it in there. And now every time I want to use that, I don't have to go through this main place of everything on my hard drive. I don't have to go searching for this. I can just find it in this pack that I have organized myself. One thing that we want to be careful of is to not just drag and drop, okay? So if we were to just drag and drop from here into Saya Packs, that's gonna move it on the actual hard drive. So what we're gonna wanna do is hold Option, which I'm pretty sure is gonna be Control on PC, and we're gonna click this and drag it over to that location. So this would be inside of my hi-hat loop section, and release it. And now, because we held that key, it's gonna create a copy. So if I go back to that original location, it's still there, and it's in my new location as well. Now this makes things a lot easier for me to, find those ones that I always use. For instance, Murder Beats Kick. I like it. It fits almost everything that I'm working on, so I use it a lot. Now, here's where things can get a little tricky. Again, we want to make sure we drag from the actual location because, for instance, if I was to go to Murder and I had that on my timeline, okay, in a second. If I had it on my timeline, right? Oh my gosh, it's sounding great. It's sounding great. It's what I want. I want to put that in my Saya Pack. One thing that we want to be careful of is if we actually drag from the timeline, it's going to create a project. And we don't want that. We want to, again, drag from the actual location on the hard drive, either from our samples location or from that spot on our places, and it's gonna allow it to just move over without everything else, okay? So we're gonna close that out for now, but we pretty much get that whole idea of let's make a location based on how we think. Again, it's all about how you think. I don't want you to write heavy hitters if you don't think of 808s like that. I don't want you to, worry so much about hi-hat loops and perk loops if maybe you make your own, right? So for me, again, this is just to make this a little bit faster for things that I use consistently. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about is our user library. Okay, so if we go to our user library, we have all these default folders that are saved onto our actual hard drive of our computer. Now, this user library allows us to have an even other place to stay organized, right? So what we use in our user library is things called ALC files, okay? So ALC files are Ableton Live Clips. Now, I just learned about Ableton Live Clips myself, and if you want to check out a video from another YouTube channel where they actually talk about this, I'm going to leave that link down below so you can learn even more. But what I have found about Ableton Live Clips is we have the ability to save multiple data points, multiple things to one location. So let me show you what that looks like. For instance, right here I have Omnisphere pulled up. I made a little effect rack. I put in RC20 so I can add some cool vinyl texture to the sound. You know, I have a really nice keyboard sound pulled up, and I have the OTT multi-band compressor pulled in. I also have an auto filter. Now, if I play this sound, right? It's great. I love it. It's game-changing. I'm going to use this the rest of my life, and I never want to lose that again. And I want to pull that back at a later date because it's important to me to have this specific sound. It's a Saya sound, right? Okay, so one thing that we're going to do is we're going to make a clip of it. All right, so I had already done this earlier. I have a clip of, you know, just some basic chords that I played on my keyboard right here. So that's going to allow me to preview that, and it's going to have it saved in one place. So what I'm going to do is inside of this user library section, I'm going to again right click here and hit new folder. After I hit new folder, I'm going to be able to rename this to whatever I like, and I'm going to add a Saya Synths location, okay? Branding, right? So I have my Saya Synths location, and now I'm just going to grab that clip, drag it over to Saya Synths, and now we have this little ALC file that's made. I'm going to name this Saya Synth 1 because I'm very creative today. And now we have something that we can preview. So I'm going to show this off by actually deleting that instance of Omnisphere. And now what we can do is I can click on Saya Synth 1, this ALC file, and I can preview that exact same sound that we have, with it being a third-party plugin, with it having a third-party effect on it and all these different things. It's still previewed and able to be accessed from our user library. So if I double-click on this, it's not only going to bring up that clip, but it's going to bring all of the plugins that we had saved to it. So this is an awesome technique for us to move forward to whenever we process a different synth sound from a VST, or maybe we have a synth loop or a guitar loop or whatever, and we highly process it and we want to save that sound for further use, we have a place in our user library to save it. ALC file is pretty cool. So I'm pretty sure that wraps it up. Those were my 3 tips for staying organized inside of Ableton. Hopefully you guys learn from my mistakes and move forward with me in this new journey of being organized. If you guys have any tips or tricks that I haven't mentioned, let me know down below. Maybe I can learn from you guys too. If you have any additional things that you would like to see me make a video about, let me know. I'll do it. I'll do it. Thanks for joining me again, and I hope you guys are all doing good. I will see you soon, very soon.